1140 The Fan.
Talkin Money! Talkin Money!
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? Robert, your wife called. She said, get home.
We got to go house shopping.
We're going house shopping.
You're getting a new place, Robert. This is Talkin Money. If you are just tuning in now, you're an hour and a half late. Got to get a move on here. I did want to just finish up one thought on Robert's caller. He had a call regarding the HARP program. And I've got this email a couple times now, which surprises me a little bit because I didn't know there was actually any seller financing out there anymore. But a number of people have either called or emailed me over the last couple of weeks asking about, can I get into HARP? I bought a house and the seller financed it. The seller carried it back for me. And, in the same, then the same story, income's down or upside down or blah, blah, blah. The HARP program itself is only for a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac owned mortgage. So you have to figure out if that's you, if Fannie or Freddie owns your mortgage. And keep in mind, just because a B of A, Wells or Chase or Nation Star or whoever is collecting your payments doesn't mean they own the mortgage. So
how do you find out?
You just go on, you can just Google, does Fannie Mae own my home loan? And it'll take you right to Fannie Mae's site. Put in some if I get a text just as I'm talking about that, right? What kind of help is there for underwater mortgages that aren't Fannie or Freddie? So you can just Google, does Fannie Mae own my loan? It'll put in your name, address, and last four digits of your social. Right. Yes or no. And the changes they made to the Fannie site, which I like, is
very nice.
And now it tells you, yes, we own it, but or our date of acquisition is such. And it gives you the date that Fannie Mae took ownership of that mortgage. And that's a critical date because it has to be prior to, is it April of 09 or June of 09? When they actually acquired the loan in order to qualify for HARP.
May 31, yeah.
Was it May 31? Okay, so so not only does it tell you yes or no, but it gives you the qualifying date, which is equally important to know. And then if Fannie says no, we don't own your mortgage, then they give you a little link here. You can click here and see if Freddie owns your mortgage, Freddie Mac owns your mortgage, and it does the same thing. It tells you the date.
That's really nice. They did a good job.
Yeah, so that really helps you. But it's interesting that I've gotten this email or call now a couple 3 times in a row from people who have something that the seller financed somewhere along the line. And if it's seller financing, boy, you're in a whole new world there because from some aspects, I know now we're talking to a very nominal group of people, but from some aspects, it's much easier if Mark's carrying my mortgage for me to call Mark and say, either Mark, I'm having some troubles. What can we do to restructure my payments a little bit? And Mark may tell me, hey, go pound sand. I need the money. But or I can say, hey, look, Mark, I owe you $300, and look, let's get an appraisal. This place is worth $199. And if I give it back to you, it's still worth $199, and neither one of us are happy. So, can we work out something? Maybe something in between. We go from $300 to $250, and at least there's a person you can talk to. And then, quite frankly, if I stop paying Mark, it's not gonna hit my credit report because that's not a reported item. Now, if Mark forecloses on me, and it becomes a public record, a notice of default or foreclosure, that is the same thing as if Bank of America files a notice of default against me. It's a public record. So you want to try to avoid that happening. You're much better off to go to Mark and go to your seller person and say, let's negotiate something, and if I have to give you the property back, I'll give it to you in good condition and I'll leave and I'll just deed it right back to you. Try to avoid kind of those big glaring issues of notice of default, trustee sale, those kind of things that become public record and they can hurt you just as much as anything else. So that's number one. Number two, and this has come up so much now, and I think because we mentioned it last week, and Chase is a good example of, and they may be the bigger entity that's done this the most, is that apparently all the ones I've heard have been Chase related, but I'm sure this has gone on other places, that they contact you and they say, hey, we've identified your mortgage as one that can be restructured. We'll lower your rate. I don't think I heard anybody yet who's actually had the principal balance reduced, but there's been kind of a rate reduction. But it's come out on the credit report as a loan modification.
Wow.
And that is not how it was presented to the individual people. In fact, we had a gentleman call last week, and he said, hey, I didn't call the bank. I didn't say, give me a lower rate. They called me, and they sent out a package of stuff to me to sign, and they just lowered my rate. not his balance. And yet on his credit report, it said the loan was modified on this date. And that is very unfair, in my opinion, if they're not telling you they're doing that. And it does not help things, because if you have a loan modification on your credit report, the financing world looks at that the same as a foreclosure or a short sale. And it means 3 years from that date before you can do anything else, including getting another home loan. So you have to be very specific when you ask. So for example, the HARP program is not a loan modification. It is a refinance. It just shows your old mortgage was paid off and your new mortgage is put in place. It does not say anything about loan modification. It is not.
But is that Chase's fault, or is that the credit reporting agency's rules and regulations?
Well, I don't know. I mean, credit reporting agencies do what they're given. So
but they've got to have some standardization so that we can rely on those numbers.
I agree. And now, last month, the credit reporting bureaus came out and said we're no longer going to take a short sale and put that into the mix of your credit of a credit score hit. So if you do a short sale from now on, we will not ding your credit score because of it.
Nice.
Now that does not change the fact that you cannot get a loan for 3 years, because a short sale is still considered the bank didn't get all their money. So the lending community still looks at it in a different way, but it does not affect your score. So why these, in particular, these chases are being reported?
As long as you're making your payments and the payments have been timely.
Right. If you skip payments in order to get their attention, that's a different story, right? I didn't make my payments for March and April because I wanted John to return my call from the bank.
Can you get a short sale if you don't miss some payments?
Yes.
That's changing, yeah.
You can. In fact, there's a very good article, and I'll bring it up here in a little bit too, and if we get to it today, but Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac both came out this week and said we will no longer mandate that you are in distress, upside down short sale, in distress, late on your payments, have to show financial hardship. We will look at all short sales now, regardless. We don't, if you want to be a short sale candidate, they've changed their position a little bit too, which means the banks will follow, because if it's a Fannie or Freddie owned loan, it'll go back. So that is changing. They're lightening up their stance a little bit to get more of these houses moving along.
That's very encouraging.
Very encouraging. But just to finish, I think you have to be very clear, no matter who you're talking to or what you're doing. I would say, particularly if your bank calls you and offers you something lower, ask them, number one, will this be reported as a loan modification? Because if it is, I probably don't want to do it unless I'm in big time trouble. But that's not helpful at all if it gets reported that way. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense.
How big a hit is on your credit, though?
I don't know what it does to the credit score, but what the bigger impact has been for the people who have come back and said, hey, I just refinanced one of my other properties, and now I'm looking to buy something else. Robert here wants to buy another house, and if it shows as a loan mod, he's 3 years out.
Wow.
And the problem is they don't know it. It hasn't been told to them. This is how we're reporting, your deal. Because I think probably 2/3 of them would say, forget it, I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna jeopardize me for the next 3 years or potentially pull my credit score down, I don't want to do it. So take that into consideration if you would. We got to take. We got another break there to take, Chris. We got to do a quiz question too, right? 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. This is for a pair of tickets to the Sacramento Mountain Lions. They open up their opening night at home Friday, September 28th versus Omaha, 8 p.m. at the Raley Field in West Sacramento. So if you want a pair of tickets to that, and if you can't make that event, and that these are unlike the River Cats, these are specific dates for the specific game. So if you can't make that, Chris will give you some Jim Boy's tacos instead. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. I will come back to our texter about what you can do if you're underwater and you don't have Fannie or Freddie. Go ahead there,
So
Johnny.
we've been talking about some older stuff, Tootsie Roll, the old Chuck Taylors, and this question has to do with the U.S. paper mill.
Okay.
So U.S. paper, as you can tell with all the internet and everything, they're not selling as much paper as they used to, and
Although we're supposed to be in the paperless society right now, and we still use a lot of paper.
A ton of paper.
But
it's changed a lot. It has changed a lot. It's down a ton. So the question is, which product that uses there's an item out there in
a couple items, huh?
A couple items, but fluff pulp. I don't know how many of you know about fluff pulp, but it's grown from a tree in the Virginia area. And what products are being made now through the U.S. paper mill? What's saving the paper mill, and it's used pretty much around the world.
Yeah, in fact, the Chinese are trying to buy up What's the name of that tree down there? I circled on the bottom there. It's kind of a funky, like lollipop tree.
Loblolly. It's a loblolly pine.
The loblolly pine, which is in the southern United States. So the Chinese are buying up the fiber from this tree, a lot. Yeah, for two main products really. And this is I never would have guessed this, but it's the only tree that produces this product. And it's the only product that they use it in for. Those two products.
Yep.
Name one of them, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. What is the loblolly tree, which is saving the paper industry mills? In fact, they're opening some mills back up.
They are, yes.
Because the Chinese demand is so strong for this product. So if you know the answer to that, you need to get a job or a girlfriend. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. In fact, if you have a girlfriend, you might know the answer to that. We'll be right back.
There's a clue.